time signature. I'm not going to reteach everything again. I'm not going to reteach everything, but by way of revision, if you are still struggling, you have the YouTube link. You can go and listen to it again. Simple time. All right. That's what you call time signature. Do we know what they call time signature? Time signature in music. It tells you the number of beats in a bar. Basically, that's what time signature tells you. It's always after the. If you look at those, you'll see a lot of time signature after the clef or the stave or whatever. You will see it. All right. It tells you how many beats should you have in a bar. You get the point? How many beats? That means let me say, it's like saying, how many students should you have in a class? You mustn't. Let's say in a class, they say, oh, this class is 10 students per class. So if you are more than 10, what do? You spill over to the next class. You can't manage. It must not be, and it must not be less than 10. It must be 10 on dot. So that's the same thing, time signature. How many notes should you have in a bar? That means if you put, so when you say, the notes may be of different types, like we've looked at. It could, but when you add all their values together, it should give you that number of beats in a bar. So that's why you should learn. That's why you see where we started. You have to know how to calculate notes, mathematics. How many notes? Then put everything together. Does it give me the value? Sometimes a value will be missing. They'll tell you complete the value. What note will you add there to complete it, to make it equal to the time signature? A lot of questions comes out like that. So you have to go and practice that one very well. But let's talk about simple time signature. In simple time signature, there are three. Simple time signature is just so you have simple time signature. When you go to grade 2, I think you'll be, or maybe grade, you're talking about compound time signature. But simple time signature is just when the music divides itself into naturally 2 beats. You understand? Just, you can divide the notes, each note can divide themselves naturally into 2 beats. But you don't need to know all those, theory. What you just need to know is the application. Now, there are 3 classes of which you've been taught of simple time signature. What are they? Double. Next one. Triple. And quadruple. Please note this. Duple, triple, like you don't really need to cram much, because sometimes most of the question for grade 1 they'll give you options. So even if you forget, okay, you remember, but you have to know them as you grow in the music. This thing. Now, what are the time signatures that make up duple? When they say duple, what does it mean? 2. So it means that whatever beat is your standard beat for that music. All right? Whatever beat is your standard beat for that music, it should not be more than 2 of those beats. Your standard beat, depending on how the music is, your standard beat can be crochet. You just want it to be normal song, just walking there. You are measuring your song. The standard currency for you is crochet. Another song, the standard currency can be quaver. You can say, I want it to be faster. So my standard currency is something shorter than quaver. Some can even say semi-quaver. You want it to be a little bit faster. So others can say, no, I want my standard currency to be minim. But whatever your standard currency is, it must not exceed 2 of those standard currency in a bar. Okay? So I've mentioned, so in that case now, it means your duple time could be 2, could be what again? 2, 4, could be what again? 2, 8. Now, in time signature, you have a number up and a number down. What does the number up tell you? The quantity, the number, how many. What does the down tell you? The type of the beat. Now, what type of beat is this? Meaning, this is a crochet. 4 is a crochet, because remember, if you go back to when we did the in your class, when you did the notes and values, we said that minim is what? 2 beats. Am I right? Crochet is 1, but actually in American language terms it is called 1/4 of a beat, because it is 1/4 of semi-brief. Do you understand? Semi-brief is taken as whole notes. So any other thing you are minim is half of it, 1/2. That's why you see 2 down. Crochet is 1/4. Then this one is what? Quaver. So the down notes, that means if the music is 2/2, it means the standard currency is minim. You count in terms of minim, because it's minim. If it is 2/4, then it's crochet, then quaver. So this is telling us 2 minim beats, 2 crochet. So that means for duple, whatever the standard beat is, it must not exceed 2 of those standard beats in a bar. But does it mean that all the music in the bar, let's say for example, let's take 2/4, and I'm only going to say this about this, I won't repeat it. Must we, let's say the music is 2/4, you are giving 2/4 something in your exam, 2/4, right? Does it mean that all the notes in the music must be crochet? No. Any other notes can be there, but when you add them together, the value of those notes must not be more than what? 2 crochet. And what is the value of 2 crochet? What did we say the value of a crochet is? 1 + 1 is what? 2. So all the other notes, when you add them together, it should not be more than 2. Do you get the point? So you could have a semi-brief and a semi-brief. Sorry, not a semi-brief. You could have a quaver and a quaver. That is half now, Abi. Making 1. So you have 1 left to complete that 2. Making 1, because you need 2 beats. You have 1. So you can have a crochet, or you could still have a quaver and a quaver. But when you count everything, you must be when you are doing this, don't rush, be very careful. Make sure you do the counting. And normally they will give you the time signature. They say, this is the time signature, but these bars are incomplete. Complete them. So you have to think about what is the note, standard note. You look down, okay, crochet. There must not be more than 2 crochets in this bar. How many crochet? If I put all these notes and make them crochet, how many crochets can I find? And that's the same thing. So just to wrap up this is one now, is just the opposite, building on that. There must not be more than 3 of whatever your standard note is. So whether it's 3/2, 3/4, 3/8. And then this is what? The 4, 4, 4, 4, 8. So this is called common time. Note that. So sometimes they will tell you, they'll just put C. And they will tell you, complete the verse. But nobody taught us C. It's 4/4. Note that. It's 4/4. All right. So any question about simple time signature? So please note that they can put number, they can put sign. So know this thing. All right. So any question, if you go to you see a lot of questions about time signature. Go back to, we're not going to answer them now, but I just want you to see the flavor, have a flavor of how they do. So if you go back to the questions, your exam questions, or this, okay, good. Now look at question 1.1. They give you that, but they say you put the time signature there. So you have to count each of those time signatures. You say, oh, you have to count and know which of these time signature will suit that bar, because that's a complete bar. So which of those time signature will suit them? So if you say it's 2/4, then count whether everything there is 2 crochet. If you say it's 3/4, then you count whether everything there, if you put them together, whether it will give you 4 crochet. All right. And remember, when you are counting, you must also count the rest, not only the notes. You count the rest as if you are counting a note. Okay. Then if you look at the next, so you see a lot of question comes out. So you should know this is a very, because there are a lot of questions. Look at question 1.2, the same thing. They tell you to put what? One missing bar line. One missing bar line. So you have to draw a line where you have to. So now for this, let me see. For this, you have to be very, very, you have to count. Where you, if they say, for example, this is the time signature and you have counted up to that time signature, you put a bar. But when you put a bar, make sure that the remaining bar too is complete. If it is not complete, then it means you have made mistakes somewhere. Do you get the point? So don't say, oh, I put a bar here, I believe the other one will be complete. No, you have to be sure that is this one complete? Is that other one complete? So you've seen that already. Then what other type of thing do we have there? Okay, let's go to okay, now if you go to 1.5, if you go to 1.5, look at it there. They give you, let me see. So for 1.5, they just a second, let me see. Okay, so for 1.5, they ask you, they give you a time signature, and then they ask you that those rests they put there, is it correct or is it not correct? What are they asking you to do there? What are they asking you to do there? What are they asking you to do there? It's because now, because they have given you a time signature, so now they're asking you, look at it very well. What are they asking you to do there? Whether the rest completes the bar. So you have to find what type of rest is this. Then calculate it with the note and see whether it completes. Sometimes they will put a rest that if you count, it is over the bar. So you say, no, this one is not correct. Or they will put a rest that if you count, it is below the number of notes in the bar. You will say this one is not correct. So you have to know which one is correct. And also you have to ensure that, so that's why you see that meaning semi-brief rest is very important. You have to know the difference. So you see there are lots of questions here on this particular one. If you go back to okay, I think but just let's see again, which one do we have there? Okay, so I think for now that's everything, but you know, they can crop up a lot of questions from here, but just know the simple principle that whatever it is, this number of bits in a bar is what we have. Does that make sense? We'll be talking about a grouping of notes. We'll start with grouping of notes. That's lesson 7. So grouping of notes. So we've talked about the time signatures, the simple time signatures, and you already know that for grouping of notes, for this level, they will only ask you to group notes in certain time signatures. So maybe 2/4, 3/4, or 4/4. All right. So you'll be asked to group notes just in with crochet beats being the standard note. So that's why you have in 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. So grouping of notes simply means where grouping of notes becomes important is where you have semiquavers. Do you know why? Because if all your notes are crochet, there's nothing like grouping of notes. It's all right. If it's, I mean, it's not very a serious issue. if all your notes are. But when you start having notes that have hooks or tails, as it were, then how do you join those tails together? You have to know the appropriate number of quiver notes you are to beam together for a particular time signature. And for each of these time signatures, there are different ways you can. I'm going to show you explicitly show you everything, just for because I know some students struggle with this. For each of the time signature, I will show you what you should be doing. So let's say you have 2/4. What is 2/4 again? 2 crochet beats in a bar. Always remember that. Sing it as a song. 2 crochet beats in a bar. It means no bar should contain more than 2 crochet beats. It doesn't say 2 crochet notes in a bar. No. Because you can have other notes. But in terms of value, they must not be more than 2 crochet beats. Okay? Now, if you have this, for example, okay? And then so let's say you have this. So you have this. So you could be given these 2 crochet beats means this is a crochet and this is a crochet. Am I right? Oh, sorry, I have to shade it meaning. So thank you. And so, some people said right. Teacher is not always right. All right. So this is it. Am I right? Good now. But this note can decide to be, depending on it, can decide to be split into 2. That will give you what? Quiver, quiver. All right. So let's take it to quiver, quiver. So let's say you have quiver, 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 quiver. All right. Then you have your bar line here because it's complete already. So you see, is these 2 crochet beats? I want everybody to be looking and be sure. Is these 2 crochet beats? Because this is 1 crochet beat, 2 crochet beat. Now, this for 2/4, you can beam these 4 quiver beats. You can beam them together. So if you are giving something like this and it is 2/4, feel free to beam everything together. Just remove the tail and beam everything together. You are free to do that. So you are free to, you're also free. Let's say you have this. Let's say this is what you have in the second bar. And then you have this. Is this 2 crochet beats? It's 2 crochet beats because this is 1 and this is 2. You can also beam these 2 together. But you can't beam this one because it's a crochet. These are quivers. So what of this? You can beam the last 2 together. Now, what this is just telling us is that for 2/4, you can always beam quivers that are together. For 2/4. Don't beam quivers that are separated by a crochet. You now beam and it's like you are doing flyover over them. No, they have to be together. Whether the 4 quivers are together, you can beam them together, or just 2 quivers are together, then 1 crochet standing apart, you can beam those 2 neighboring crochets together. Does that make sense? For 2/4, note that. So you have to note the time signature. For 3/4 is the same thing. For 3/4 is the same thing. All right? It's the same thing for 3/4. So let's see if we can take some examples. So 3/4, is 3 crochet beat. Am I right? So you have crochet 1, crochet 2, crochet 3. So, but let's assume, remember the beaming is quivers. So that means, now, how many, if I only want quivers to make up this, I don't want crochet, I want to use quivers to fill up this bar. How many quivers will I have? 6. So that's 6, those 6 quivers, you can beam all of them together. All right? So that means you could have this 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry about my writing. I'm just trying to 6, and then you can beam everything together. Also, you could have, 4 quavers and 1 crochet. 4 quavers and 1 crochet. So you could have 4 quavers like this together. Remember, they must always be together, and 1 crochet. So this is 2. You can beam these 4 quavers together. Whether the crochet is at the front or at the back, you can beam the quavers together. You could also have 2 quavers and 2 crochets. This is still 3, 4. Hope you know. You can beam this together. So it's the same principle, 2, 4 and 3, 4. You can beam quavers that are always together. They are straightforward. Where you need to pay particular attention is in 4, 4. In 4, 4, you should have what? 4 crochet beads in a bar. Am I right? 4 crochet beads in a bar. Now, in 4, 4, normally, in counting, there is what you call the strong beat and the weak beat. For 4, 4 time, the strong beat normally starts from the first beat, okay? Then the second beat is the weak beat. Then the next strong beat is the third beat. Then the fourth beat is a bit weak. Then you go back, so it's like a cycle. So they recognize the third beat that as strong as the first beat. So that means in your mind eyes, when you are grouping 4, 4, know where that third beat starts. What it simply means is that group 2 crochets together, then group 2 crochets together. Because you have 1 crochet, 1 crochet, 2 crochet. Treat 2 crochets together as you will treat 2, 4, and treat the other 2 crochet together as you will treat 2, 4. So that means you can't group 8 quavers together. Because you have to. So what you can do, what can you group? How can you group 8 quavers? What will you do? Group 4 and group 4. I said treat like this. Group 4 and group 4. So because you are separating 1, 2 from 3, 4. The same thing. So you can't. So even if you have, okay, if you have this, for example, tell me how you're going to group this. Tell me how you're going to group this. Tell me how you're going to, and this is the last one we'll do, then we'll move on. So how are you going to group this? This 4, 4, am I right? You have to be sure. Is it 4, 4? Oh, sorry, this should be this. Is it 4, 4? Yeah. It's 4, 4. So how will you group it now? So you will do all this one, am I right? Is that correct? That's not correct. Okay. So you have to separate this. You put an invisible something. I told you you have to do. What you have to do is you have to treat the 2 first crochets separate from the 2 last crochet. Don't join them together. Don't cross that. Don't do 2 and 3 together. So even if it's on 4 over 4, it's 4 over 4. It's only 4 over 4. I'm telling you this for. Yeah. Any other, we've done 2 over 4 and 3 over 4. You can merge all the things together anywhere the quavers appear. But for 4 over 4, you must only merge. So for this now, you merge this. And you mesh these 2, but not the 4 across. I've said it that because another strong beat starts here. Another strong beat starts here. This is a strong beat, 1. Then this gives you 2. Then this third beat is another strong beat. And then this is a weak beat. So you can't join this weak beat to be leading to a strong beat. The strong beat has to start on his own footing. So that's why we put, it's not there, but you put an imaginary barrier between the second and the third, so that they don't cross. Yes, so that they don't cross. Do we understand the point? You may take time to assimilate it, but just know that 2, 4, 3, 4, brilliant. But 4, 4, once they give you, it's 4, 4, okay, where is the imaginary barrier between 2 and 3? Put it there, nothing must cross. You understand? No beaming must cross. Every beaming must, if you do the beaming, first 2, second, third, separate. Does that make sense? Okay.